Well, Brown and Easter are here with us. How are you both today?
We're doing good.
Yeah, we're great.
Great. Now, your podcast is called A Rude, a Prude, and an Unsolved Mystery. So what kind of thing do you like to get up to in the podcast?
Well, we drink a little wine, and we talk about kind of our lives as teachers, as mothers, and then a lot about Robert Stack.
Yes, we love Robert Stack.
Yeah.
I grew up watching him since I was younger, and so I give a little bit of a different take than she does because she was a mere infant when she watched it, and I was a little older.
Yeah, she's a little older than me.
a little older.
Yeah. And of course, there's the main theme of unsolved mysteries. What is it that you love so much about unsolved mysteries?
For me, it is unsolved, and back in the day when I would watch it when I was little, it's very nostalgic. But a lot when I watch it now, some of these cases are solved because of the DNA and stuff that's come about, and so it's kind of cool to like see that some of them, not all, some of them get solved, and these like families get closure and stuff. That's why I really liked it 'cause of that reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool to see how Unsolved Mysteries like made such an impact on our society, because they really did solve so many of the cases by just saying, hey, if you see this person, like, let us know. And then they were able to apprehend them or to solve the case.
Yeah.
It was very old school.
Yeah, I think we generally, as humans, probably love the idea of unsolved mysteries because we want to actually find out what happened, and we want the case to be closed and tidied up in a way, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And we want to be the ones to figure it out.
We want to be the ones to solve it. We were always talking about how when we were little, we wanted to solve the case. We were always looking over our shoulder to see if the criminal was behind us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was the most recent one you did about the guy that hijacked a plane and then parachuted out and they never found out who he was. That's an interesting one, isn't it?
Oh, the D.B. Cooper?
Yeah. The aspect of everybody just like thinking it was their aunt or uncle was very interesting to me. Everybody thought it was like a relative or a friend. That part was very interesting to me, how people just started speculating wildly that it could be somebody that they knew.
And I thought it was interesting that there were just so many like unknowns. Like no one really knew exactly when he parachuted off the plane. No one knew where exactly he landed. It was just so many pieces to this massive puzzle.
Yeah.
Well, that and it was just different time before 9/11 happened.
That too.
Yeah.
They would walk up to the counter and be like, hey, I need to get on a plane. And they're like, cool. All right, walk on.
Yeah.
Because I think you were talking about how, back in the old days, you could just turn up to the airport and they'd make a ticket for you. In a way, that was maybe a better way in some cases, because then you could just kind of go on holiday on impulse.
Yeah.
Instead of the let's get to the airport 3 hours early.
Oh, yeah. All of that, yeah. And the fact when you book a flight, you probably book it at least a few months in advance and you worry about it being cancelled at the last minute.
Oh, yeah.
Especially now, yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah. And I think in the podcast episodes, you talked about the fact that plane, the Boeing 727, was quite unique in the fact that it's one of the few planes you could parachute out when it was in the air.
Yeah, that was the plane that was known for being able to parachute successfully during that time, which I was like, I found that super interesting that that knowledge was available. I didn't know skydiving was such a big deal back then, that it was known.
Skydiving in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how they knew that. Maybe it's just like safety checks. Maybe they have to know if you can parachute from a plane. But then I don't know if safety checks were what they were 50 years ago.
Exactly. I'm like,
they're just like, roll on out of here. See if it works.
Here's a parachute. Why don't you head on out? Yeah, I was I thought that was so weird to me. Like, I couldn't get over that fact that, like, they were just parachuting off of, like, random airplanes. This one does, like, what happened when it didn't work? Like, they never said anything about that. I'm like,
they're not going to say anything about that.
Just this one. We tested all the other ones, and they were failures. Like, didn't go in.
Yeah. Why is it that the 727 you can parachute out and all the other planes, or most of them anyway, you can't?
I think because of how high it stays in the sky, like it's just 10,000 feet.
Yeah, at least 10,000 feet.
It can go a little lower, and then I think also, before D.B. Cooper did his escape, you could open the back hanger in flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be locked.
That's terrifying to know that.
So you could just open a part of the plane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But then aeroplane doors, maybe not back in those days, but they seem quite hard to open, don't they? Because, they have to have instructions on them to tell you how to open them.
I've always been scared to be next to the door.
Yeah.
When you go on plane, because they said, "Are you responsible for that?" I'm like, "Oh my God, no! I'd rather be followed."
That section.
Are you serious?
I need the leg face.
I would never. I would be panicking.
Oh yeah.
I move when I move.
I just fly.
Yeah, I never book that seat. I always make sure.
You shouldn't fly anywhere if we're sitting next to the door.
Yeah. I think in some airlines those seats do cost extra because of the extra leg room that you sort of get as a byproduct.
Oh, geez, I didn't know that.
So for that case, what was the outcome? Because all the passengers on the plane survived, didn't they? It's unknown what happened to the hijacker, but I guess the bomb didn't go off.
No, all the passengers made it out safely, and I'm sure tell that story to everybody that they know.
Yeah.
As far as the guy, we speculated, there was a guy who was was a parachuter in the military, and he performed a similar robbery, air robbery. I don't know how you call it, air robbery, skyjacking. And I thought that name in itself, skyjacking, was interesting too. But he performed something very similar. They arrested him, and he was killed in a shootout. We speculated, we thought that was him, but we really don't know.
And I really don't think the bomb was a real bomb.
Yeah. They never said anything about that either, if it was a real bomb or not.
But I think it was just for show.
It might have been.
Yes.
But then as smart as that guy was, because he was pretty smart to be able to do all that, it might have been. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you don't know anything.
Yeah, you don't know anything. So yeah, they never figured it out. So people wildly still speculate about it. We're always waiting for some what was it, the Golden State Killer? They found him. We're always waiting to see if they ever come out with an update with this D.B. Cooper case.
Yeah. I suppose that's the thing. There's limited evidence out there, isn't there? So a lot of what you have to do in the podcast is a bit of guesswork and hypothesis.
Yeah. We do a lot of internet searching, and we get lost down a lot of rabbit holes.
Yes.
There's a lot of theories, conspiracy theories on presidents and stuff like that.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of other episodes, are there any particular cases you've looked at that have been the most enjoyable to talk about?
I loved talking about the Queen Mary ghost ship,
Oh,
and Brown hated that one, but I love aliens and supernatural stuff.
And I do not like that kind of stuff. I don't know. That's why we give two different aspects to the show of she's into that. I'm very skeptical of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, there's just hundreds of ghosts on there, and everyone knows it, and she just couldn't wrap her head around it.
I was very skeptical. That's the thing too. I liked that one too for a different reason, because I thought it was comedic to me, and she took it very seriously, and I just found it funny. So I found that episode that I liked it really too. Sorry.
Yeah. And what is the weirdest one that you've done? Maybe the most unexplained? Is there one that's maybe even possibly supernatural and things like that?
We haven't got that many was that the first one we did that was supernatural? The Queen Mary?
That was the first
one we did that was the supernatural. The one that I thought was very interesting and different was the Gail case, where she had come up missing, and you're expecting that she's murdered, or she started a new life, and down to the very end of the episode you couldn't figure it out. It could have gone either way, and then it come to find out she had completed suicide. And it was very sad, but it was just very crazy at the time. They had no resources to figure it out. And at the very end, unfortunately, yes, she completed suicide. And I just thought it was interesting, because they thought she was just missing the whole time. You were led to believe as an audience that she was missing, or she was murdered, or she had started a new life. The thought that she had completed suicide, it was very, very small possibility in the episode.
Because none of her family thought that she ever would do something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's you kept getting these two different personalities from the interviews that they did with her family and friends. It was either she was a hermit who lived inside her house and never went out, or she was going out every weekend to see, to meet up with different men that she was dating. And so you never really understood who she was as a person.
Yeah, so that one was very interesting to me. It kept me on my toes the whole episode. And at the very end, we were both shocked to find out what really happened to her.
Yeah.
So it was very same time we were just like, wow, that was
That was
a good one.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I like about the podcast is that it's not just you two talking the whole time. You also like to add in a few clips, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah,
from the original
I feel
show.
like it's just such an older time, that you need to hear it, and you need to have the sound clips of especially Robert Sapp.
Yeah.
If you need to hear Robert,
And the way that he spoke, so intentional.
we just love listening. That's why we include them all the
Yeah.
time. And it just gives the listener something, to hear.
That's not just us going back and forth.
Yeah.
Breaks it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there are probably lots of unsolved mystery podcasts out there because it's interesting. So, what makes your podcast different from all those?
We just think that, one, we're doing all the episodes. So we're starting, the ones that are on Amazon Prime. So we're starting at the very beginning and we're working our way through. So even if the case isn't super interesting or one that a lot of people want to touch on, we're still going to do it because we're committed to doing all of them. But also, we do take the cases seriously and the things that happen to these people, but we also try to lighten the mood with the conversations that we're having. So we like to put a little comedic spin on it. Yeah. And hopefully it's easy to get through. When we talk about those cases where someone has been murdered or sexually assaulted, it's you can have this little breath of fresh air in the middle of us just being ridiculous.
It's almost I think we bring a little bit of comedic relief when we're doing it. And it's like she said, there are a lot of podcasts. We listen to some of them and they're good, but they only cover cases that are super famous and interesting. And we cover them all. We put our fun take on it and we have fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because some of these cases can be quite intense. So you need to add a little bit of comic relief. And one of the things about it is it sounds like you're with your friends at a coffee shop and having a good time when you're listening.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm glad it sounds that way.
Yeah.
We hard at each other because we work together too.
Yeah. A great thing about this podcast as well is the uploads seem to be happening consistently, weekly, which is good because not a lot of podcasts do that actually, do they? Sometimes you don't hear from them for months.
Oh, that's good to know because we're amateurs and so we're trying real hard to grow our little podcast.
Yeah.
I'm we were editing with a different editor for the first couple episodes, but I've just undertaken that myself now. And so I'm doing all the editing and the music and whatnot. And so
we're learning as we go.
Yeah. But we are releasing every Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's coming up? Have you got more cases that you're excited to be looking into soon?
Oh yeah. This week we just dropped one about the murders of Don Henry and Kevin Ives, who were two boys who were found on a railroad track. And their death was super mysterious. And then we're about to record tonight the episode about Son of Sam, and that'll be our first serial killer one and one that's pretty well known.
That one's going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
I was very excited.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, where are we able to find the podcast everywhere? I take it it's in all the podcast places.
Yes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher,
Spotify.
We even did Amazon podcast now.
Yeah.
Audible, and so on Amazon, so everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
It seems like every day they come up with a new place to put a podcast and you've got to keep up.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're okay, and it goes on this one.
Just keep adding on.
Yeah.
I know. We're please listen to us. We don't care where.
Well, many thanks for coming on the show today. It's been great to have you both here.
Yeah, it was great being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.